Hey, Dan Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 9th and 10th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish, they're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kelber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday night as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
All right. There he is now.
Welcome to another Wednesday Wham. We got a show tonight. We're going to be talking all things Teen Beetle for Teen Beetle 3 kickoff. All right, but first, let's go around and kind of introduce ourselves. I am Kasisi Harris, co-host of Wednesday Wham Minor. I'm the newbie. Little experience, but I write for Silverline, and I'm the aspiring. So when you guys talk, you're talking to me. All right, and then we're going to try and go.
You're talking to me?
Right. We're going to try and go in order. We're going to announce a special guest last, right? But we're going to try and go in order to introduce ourselves. So we're going to start. Let's go this way with Martin.
Hey, I'm Martin. I'm the colorist for Wolf Hunter, and I've almost done Wolf Hunter 2. Roland has been sitting on pins and needles waiting for me to get that out the door. That's coming shortly. But yes, there's a great book, so look that up. And that's what I do for Silverline. And let's jump over to the other side that way. Or Empress
This way, yes. I'm Barb Kelberg, all-around inker, colorist, writer, and accountant for Silverline.
Okay. Let's go.
Fast and sweet.
Let's go, Rob. Then Jeremy.
Me.
Okay. Then John. How about that order?
Yep. All right. I'm Rob Davis. I've been in the comic book industry since the mid to late 1980s. Kind of like Barb has as well. We're both old hands at this stuff. And my book for Twilight Grim is from Silverline, and even will be in next month's October's previews. So go into your comic shop and order those. Probably anybody who knows me probably knows me from the work I did for Malibu Comics in the 1990s, which was Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and I've done some other stuff for Marvel and DC and innovation and a bunch of other stuff. So thanks for coming by. And the next on is who we're going to go to next.
Jeremy.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Kahn. I'm a colorist for Teen Beetle. I'm also working on White Devil as well. A couple other small projects from Silverline here or there.
All right, Dell.
Hey, I'm Dell Barras. I'm the artist for Teen Beetle. And I've been around actually with the Barb Kalberg and Rob David. We are old, man. I have a new book. That's my art. This is it. The Art of Dell Barras.
Ooh,
And you can get it at Barnes and Nobles.
Hold that up
one more time. Let's see it, Dell. One more time.
We got you close
There
up.
you go.
So pull it up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Here's
A little
the back.
higher. A little higher.
All right.
Show that front and a little higher. There we go.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Nice dragon.
That's my
All right.
that's my uncle. Okay.
All right. And round it out, John.
Yeah, hi, I'm John Crowther. I'm John Crowther. I'm the writer and co-creator, along with Dell Barras, of the Teen Beetle, which I think we're going to do a little talking about today.
Yeah.
That's
Speaking
the idea.
of which, let me share my screen. The campaign is now live for Teen
Wow.
Beetle 1 through 3. Fund My Comic. So, I guess I'll start with a question while we view the actual Fund My Comic page, right? Can you just give us a brief for those who don't know and who are being introduced to Teen Beetle for the first time? What is the phenomenon known as Teen Beetle?
You have to wait.
I'll kind of.
Oh,
Who do we have talking? Was that Dell?
Yeah, we have to buy it first.
Go ahead, Dell.
you got to buy it in order to get the secret of what it is?
It's life changing,
Just
but you only
kidding.
figure out how if you buy it.
Well, let's do this. Let's start with let's go Jeremy Dale John, right? If you had to describe Teen Beetle in your own words, Jeremy, what would you say?
Problem is, I keep comparing it to Blue Beetle.
Ooh, you can't do that.
I know.
That's the rule. You can't do that.
I got the past then.
All right, okay. All right, give me the basics at least, kid. Coaching, what is it? Tell me what it is.
Who we got going? We got Dell or myself? I mean, I can give you the background and yeah,
Okay,
I
go,
can give you
John. Just go, John. Give us the background.
Yeah, I can give you the background. So when I initially came up with the concept for Teen Beetle, as some people may not know, some people may know, Dell and I had worked previously on a series called Rochelle that was released with Antarctic Press. And one of the reasons I had initially contacted Dell was because I had been a fan of Dell's work on the Blue Beetle that he worked with DC Comics. Mm-hmm. And I kind of held in the back of my mind that I would like to go back into the public domain, Dan Garrett Blue Beetle, and try and bring something back. So what I did was I created a story about I want to say it was back in the 50s, that Blue Beetle had a sidekick by the name of Sparkington Northrop, who was just a little guy who appeared in about 2 issues. I brought his grandson back, who had discovered the formula for vitamin 2X. He takes this vitamin 2X and he recreates, or he takes the formula and recreates the vitamin 2X, ingests it, and that gives us Teen Beetle. So Teen Beetle is actually the grandson of the original Blue Beetle's sidekick, Sparkington Northrop.
Nice.
Yeah, I did Teen Beetle too.
So who is, and I don't want to hog all the questions, so other folks jump in. But I do have a question. So when I look at Teen Beetle, I first of all, ton of great art that's available.
Thank you.
For this. Yeah, a ton of great art. So who is the main audience? Who is the main audience for Teen Beetle? Who is Teen Beetle really trying to speak to? I know it's everybody, so I know everybody can learn something from Teen Beetle, but who's the main audience for it?
Del, you want to take this one? Or me too.
Well, those who love comic books.
Okay.
What about people who don't love comic books?
Can I make an observation?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Who were your influences when writing? Because this comes across very Silver Age type of writing. It reminded me heavily of a lot of the old superhero books from back in the day, especially like Batman, where he says, I'm going to use the atomizer for blah, blah, blah. Or this little pen will analyze all the chemicals in this. It very much reminded me of that type of book. It was a lot of fun to read. Took me back to my childhood, actually.
Yeah, and honestly, that was part of the goal. I mean, I don't think there was any specific writer in particular, but I grew up, in the 70s and the 80s, and I also grew up in a lot of my dad's old comics. So that's the type of comics I've always loved. So what I tried to do with Teen Beetle, just as I have with some of my other insect comics, is try and recreate that old magic that I found from those comics when I was a kid growing up. And I'm glad, Barbara, that you made that observation, because that was kind of my goal. So
it very much succeeded.
Yeah. So
I would agree.
tell people
I would agree.
with the comic, yes, it's really an all age comic. I mean, we don't drop any curse words or anything like that. It's just a fun, adventurous comic that all ages can read, but it's particularly designed towards people who were fans of that style. From, if you look at the Silver Age, if you look at the Bronze Age, and probably the beginning of the modern age of comics, that's what I grew up with, and that's kind of what I was shooting for. And then I will say, you'll see a lot of action in here, a lot of fighting and whatnot. That's probably, for people who know a little bit what I do outside of comics. I also write autobiographies for pro wrestlers. So I think growing up in the 70s and early 80s as a huge fan of professional wrestling, I love the action. And you might even find here and there a few little quips made that maybe were said by old pro wrestlers back in the early 80s. I try and throw a little bit of that influence in there too.
All right. Okay. Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. So, can you tell me a bit about maybe the characters? I mean, obviously there's Teen Beetle, there's Pure Genius, right? What sparked the whole sidekick? Why a sidekick is a question that I would have. I like Pure Genius, but
yeah, to me, well, there's a little bit deeper on that. As I mentioned when we first talked, my first comic book series was the Rochelle series, and Pure Genius actually came out of the Rochelle series. He was the best friend of Rochelle. Breaking news a little before we've ever done it, there's been some talk of me possibly bringing Rochelle back under Silverline.
Cool.
And I thought that having Pure Genius as a part of this story would make for an easier transition.
Right.
Once we start making the move to bring Rochelle over.
very nice.
So in the story, and it kind of goes into the Rochelle story, but in that series, Rochelle, that I did, I used a lot of characters that had flaws, but as I like to say, those flaws were what led to their being special, or what led to their power. So in that story, Pure Genius was kind of the school geek, and the kids would pick on him all the time. He'd get shoved around, really treated poorly. But little did they know he was the strongest kid in the world, or smartest kid in the world. That's why he got the nickname Pure Genius. So that was his superpower. And that was kind of something that played through all the characters over there, that what initially was looked at as a flaw was ultimately the thing that set them apart and made them special.
Okay, and what about the villain? So I know in we have Dr. Manis, Sergeant AWOL. What inspired that? I know what I think of as a Private Marine. I know what I think of when I hear AWOL. Like what inspired those two?
Well, I think AWOL is just kind of giving a connotation that he's not really an honorable guy, which is kind of where I created that name from. But the idea was to bring them. They're not from back in that age of Dan Garrett, but the idea was to imply that they were, and that they were in a kind of a stasis, kind of a frozen state. And AWOL was looking over Dr. Mantis, kind of keeping an eye unless he found anything out about this vitamin 2X, which the ultimate goal of Dr. Mantis is obviously to get a hold of the formula because he wants that ability, those powers that come with it. So once AWOL gets word that this formula has come back, it's rearisen, he brings Mantis out of his frozen state and says, hey, it's on. Let's go get these guys and try and get this formula.
Nice. And Dell and Jeremy, maybe you can chime in. I mean, I see this art right here, but if we go back to the comic, right, talk to us a little bit about drawing the characters and coloring the characters that we see in the book. I mean, was it a challenge? I mean, what did you think color scheme wise? Just initial impressions when you were first introduced to drawing the character?
Well, I have.
Sorry. Go ahead, Dell, and then we'll round it out with Jeremy. How about that?
The thing is, I'm familiar with the Beetle, not the. I used to do Blue Beetle in DC before, and then John Crowther told me if I'm interested in doing the Teen Beetle. Mm-hmm. Well, I said, yeah, that's a nice character.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And that's history.
What about you, Jeremy? What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember. It was. I know one of the first things I did for them was the cover for one of the Kickstarter exclusives. Let's pull it up here. Basically, yeah, for issue 1, for that I actually used a lot of inspiration from the Malibu Ultraverse series, and I basically took a lot of inspiration from that period of time when coloring in the characters. Though interesting, I think I remember one of the holiday auditions we did for Silverline. Wasn't there a Rochelle storyline in there?
Yeah, I did put Rochelle in the Christmas issue just to kind of introduce her to people who read a lot of Silverline books. Mm-hmm. Just dropping little eggs here and there.
I think that was my first time actually coloring for this series. Was that the holiday issue actually?
Okay.
All right, and I feel like I'm hogging. So, I'm not going to hog all the questions. So,
well,
what about you, Rob? What do you think?
I have a question for Dell.
Yes, sir.
Who were your influences as far as your art goes?
Nice.
Who influenced you?
It's a long story.
Go ahead.
Hey, we got time. Go for it.
I used to work with Nestor Redondo way back in the Philippines, and when I came here, I worked with Dan Barry on Plus Gordon dailies, and then I work with Neil Adams on his studios for a long time. So those guys are my influences.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Okay, and once again, folks, if you are listening, right, feel free to head on over to Fund My Comic. You can search Silverline, you can search Teen Beetle. The campaign pops up. You can get all of them, 1 through 3. Please do. Good book. Let's see what kind of. I wish I could zoom in on some of this art, but we can see 3 different covers here. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe I can. Maybe no. Make it a little bigger for folks.
There we
go. There we go.
Nice, the one on the left is one I just finished yesterday.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a foil, too.
Just beat the deadline.
Yeah. That's the first I've seen that cover as well. So, excuse me for taking my glasses off. It's just that at my age, I got my 53rd birthday coming up on Sunday. I have to take them off to see, and I have to put them on to see sometimes too. So
I have at least 2 or 3 pair that I switch between when I look. So.
Same here, and I'm
nice. So the one on the left is a foil cover, I think, the exclusive foil cover for the campaign. And then we got covers B and C, both nice, both unique art styles. I like them. I like them a lot. All right, let's go down. Look at some of the interiors. Look at that.
I really upped the saturation. I was working with last for the more recent issue.
Say again, Jeremy?
I was upping the saturation a bunch for the more recent issue.
I really like it, though. I like how these colors pop, too. I really like how strong they are on the page. Boom.
Yeah, Jeremy was a fantastic addition to the team. He really was.
Well, I enjoy the fact you give me a little more freedom with the coloring. I experimented with how I approach some of the colors sometimes, but I appreciate they get a little more freedom with that. Like you notice in some areas I'm doing little textures and stuff, like the one of the helicopters and skies there. That's actually images I took of the sunset and sort of overlaid that onto the colors in the background.
Oh wow.
That's nice. Yeah.
It is really cool. And again, a lot of action. It looks like there's a lot of action going on in this comic too. So, oh, boom. Okay. All right. We got a lot of original artwork. It looks like. I love this image right here in the upper left-hand corner.
Yeah, that's nice.
I really do like that one. Let's see if I can. Nope.
Is that Dean?
I'm afraid to make
Dean Zachary, isn't there? Can I?
Yeah, I think that one was. I think that was one of the, it was one of the covers from issue 2, I believe.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, any of the. Oh, go ahead, Barb. Sorry, didn't mean to
I know
interrupt.
Peter Clinton and I did a cover for issue 2. That was one of my favorite covers.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and here you guys go. Boom. Oh.
I have a fun story with when I was doing issue 2, and I started coloring the pages where they're in the jungle. Around that time frame, I was also coloring a Night of Living Dead comic series, which also took place in a forest. So but it was more darker, theme was more colorful from this way. So I had to keep track of which one I was working on to make sure I had the right saturation working with. And I did accidentally do one of the Teen Beetle pages in a very dark, somber tone before, and I realized it halfway through. I had to redo the whole thing.
Oh my gosh!
How do you keep when you're doing colors that's like in a forest or a swamp or whatever like that, and there's so many greens? How do you keep it from becoming like monotone all the way through?
Well, the best way to do it is, I'm not sure you can see some of the ones I did here, but I try to go not just light and dark, but I try to work with some more pastel colors as well. So you get a little more range of greens. Some have a little more blue in it, so it's not just pure green. In addition, when the more denser forest scenes, when you get to the back, I actually took images of forests and sort of overlaid it into the back there. So you actually see some real trees that, as a result, it pushes the more pure colors forward more. So you just have to play around the different color schemes, like work blues or reds in there. Don't keep it all just in the green territory. And just kind of mix it up like that.
Very good. Very, very good.
Yeah, I will say, looking at the actual book, the colors are better in the book than they're showing up on the screen here.
Yeah.
The screen, they look great, but it's even better in the book itself. The printing brings it out. So, yeah, that was a fun page there with the
Which
buck.
one? Yeah, this one.
Yeah, that one there. Yeah, it's kind of a. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to do more of that Batman, like a pop, for the colors in the background there.
Well, I really like the fact that you've leaned into comic pop.
Yeah.
Which is, I kind of miss the old days where you could still see the dots in your comics. So that having that hint of that is nice. It adds a nice little punch to the book.
Yeah, the only thing I think that's missing in comics today is I really did like that old newspaper print, to be honest. I know a lot of people don't, but I do miss it. I really do miss it.
Well, the tan color, that light tan color to the pages, it made the coloring work differently. Some of the books that had been updated, they took the colors directly from when it was done on that tan page, and it's just garish. So, there's a certain earthiness to that tan color in the paper.
A lot of times when they do the re-releases, they'll actually have people recolor it and get rid of that texture and everything, the pops in there.
No.
Yeah.
And then they butcher it.
Yes.
They pull out the airbrush and do the glossy stuff, and you're like, ugh. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to keep it simple.
So what can we without giving it away, right? Without giving the story away, what are some things we can expect in issue 3? Like,
I mean, there's going to be some pretty big cliffhangers. As you can see when it starts, neither Teen Beetle nor Pure Genius are in a very good position.
No. Yeah.
And it only gets worse before it gets better. I think that's a good way of saying it.
Okay.
I
Okay.
had a fun one where when I was coloring it, I didn't get the last, I think, 3 or 4 pages. So it ended on one of the pages that was basically like the cliffhanger. And I was like, oh, he's signed up for another issue. Neat. Then I get an email from Roland about like a week later, like, what are these pages? Like, oh, I didn't realize there were more pages.
But as I'm sure you probably would assume, this, regardless of how this story ends for Teen Beetle and Pure Genius, there's going to be many more stories in the future for them.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask you whether this 3-issue arc was it, or if we have more plans for the future.
There's definitely plans for the future, and I have plans of integrating Rochelle in as part of that universe as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it sounds like Dell's up for it too.
So give us a background on who and what Rochelle is, so that people can know.
Yeah, just so you know, Rochelle, the kind of the abbreviated background of it. The first comic I ever did, back in 2014. My daughter was a teenager at the time, and she liked going to Comic Cons a lot. And I had a kind of a problem with how female characters were being portrayed for my teenage daughter. Yeah. So I've always been the kind of person, if you don't like something, rather than sit around and complain about it, do something. So I wrote my first comic. I came up with the concept of Rochelle, which is a teenage girl with cockroach DNA. I wrote to Dell. Wow. I found Dell's address, wrote him a letter, told him the idea that I had, and he surprisingly wrote me back. We'd never met before, with a beautiful piece of art and a card that says, give me a call. It sounds like a great idea. I'd love to do it. And my last name is pronounced Barras and not Barras.
You got it. We're getting old.
Yeah. And I still remember it. So,
out of curiosity, is Rochelle's last name Coprophage or something else?
No, it's Planeta, and it's based off of the American cockroach name.
Oh, well, good. You're sticking to the theme here, because
the theme, yeah. So,
is this
and I won't go into I won't go into the story how she became a cockroach DNA infused. I think it was pretty funny. The book was successful. We came out initially with AC Comics as a flip book with FemForce.
I remember FemForce.
Yeah, Joe Dunn, brother of Ben Dunn, found the comic, reached out and asked if we'd be interested in coming over to Antarctic Press. And we ended up doing a couple of 3-issue runs with Antarctic Press. Before I decided I started broadening my wings and doing a whole series of autobiographical comics for pro wrestlers before segueing into traditional books for pro wrestlers too. But it was at around that time that I came up with the concept for, there's Rochelle. But yeah, you said my eyesight's not that good. I was seeing so that's when I came up with the idea to go ahead with Teen Beetle, and we kind of shelved Rochelle for a bit. But I think, I think the time is nice to maybe possibly bring her back and get her into the Silverline universe and kind of team her up with Teen Beetle down the road.
Nice. Okay, now I do have questions about Teen Beetle himself and Dr. Mantis. Powers. What exactly can Teen Beetle do besides shoot stuff from his hands? He's super strong, right? What can he do?
Well, I mean, I think what happens with the vitamin 2X is when you read the book, you realize that he is actually a teenager. Looks can be deceiving when he's walking around in Teen Beetle gear. He looks like he's, probably mid-20s or so and a power builder. But when he drinks vitamin 2X, it increases his size, it increases his strength, gives him the ability to increase strength. A lot of his, when you're seeing the power blasters, but go back into issue number 1, you realize that his costume was actually designed by Pure Genius. So a lot of that is kind of like you see Iron Man with an Iron Man costume. So he's not blasting blasters out of his hands or anything like that. So the vitamin 2X, what it does temporarily is increases strength, increases stamina, increases speed. You know, it makes him just superhuman in those in those ways. But a lot of the powers that you see, whether he's hitting someone with a blaster or he's using technology to call his beetlecraft and things like that, a lot of those are just little gadgets that have been put together for him by his little buddy, Pure Genius.
Okay. Very nice. And what about Dr. Menace? We know he was frozen and brought back. Seems like oh, go ahead. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, again, he's got a lot of those same traits of being extra strong, extra fast, extra agile. He can also communicate with insects, as you might have noticed. I guess that's kind of a theme back to like Rochelle talking to cockroaches. But as you read through the book, you see he does have an army of giant bees and such that fly in and help him out with all of his little evil deeds that he's doing here and there. And he's very well. He's got a hidden building or a home base on Ofu Island out in the Pacific that's been there for years that has loaded with technology. So he's, again, another just extremely smart guy who can communicate with insects. And he is just, his biggest power is probably his little evil ways.
Now I'm noticing a theme here with insects. Why? Why insects?
I'm just weird in that regard. I mean, we've got things in the house, everything from pet tarantulas to, at one point, I even had pet Madagascar cockroaches for a while.
Oh my gosh! No, John,
no. How big?
I mean,
those things like that big? Don't they get huge?
No, they get massive. Yeah, but I grew up. Yeah, they do. They do hiss. I grew up in Florida. I mean, we have all kinds of bugs everywhere. So you learn to live with them, and you can either be scared or you can just love them. So I just love bugs.
I guess, yeah.
I can handle anything but spiders. Give me a snake. I'll carry a boa constrictor around. I don't care.
We got snakes. We got lizards. We got, you name it. We probably had it at some point.
I guess if you learn to love them, it is natural that you would write, you would include them in your writing. But man, the choices. I mean,
but I will say, I told people when I would talk about Rochelle that it kind of went back to that same theme that I had, that you need to look at people just like you can look at these characters or even an ant or whatever. And just because there's something about it that you think it's disgusting, there's still something special about them. Mm-hmm. So I would say that about cockroaches. You know, to a lot of people, cockroaches are probably the most detestable creature on the planet. But pound for pound, they're also the strongest creature on the planet. They're immune to radiation. You know, they're going to be here long after humans are gone. So there's actually a lot of positive attributes to them as well. It's just that we're too focused on the ugly ickiness of them, you know, and which is one of the reasons I did create a cockroach girl to kind of show that the difference between, you got this beautiful girl, but on the flip side, she's also part cockroach.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Very much into entomology, then, I take it.
Yes. In fact, I think the first cover of Rochelle, she was walking around a high school hallway with an entomology book.
Nice. So what else? What else about Teen Beetle? What else about the campaign? Let's say I'm on the fence, right? And I'm looking at this campaign for the first time. Like, why? Why should I choose Teen Beetle?
Because it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. I mean, it's if you just want a simple, fun story that you can get into, that's not going to try and wow you with bodacious breasts or puffy butts and all that kind of stuff. You just want to have fun. You want to go back to the good old days of comics. This is the perfect book for you. I mean, I'm not trying to overcomplicate the storylines. I'm not trying to throw politics on people. It's just a simple, fun story like comics used to be.
Very much a throwback.
Easy to read artwork. It flows, and it's straight ahead storytelling. You know, it's
Thank you.
not overly flashy or anything like that. It just tells the story, which is
Right.
Yeah, well
Which
done.
is again,
Yeah.
it's one of those reasons I love working with Dell, because I found, from starting with Dell on Rochelle, and I'm sure anybody in here who works as a writer and the artist working as artists, sometimes you work with someone and you just happen to click. They happen to see things the way you see things. And from the beginning with Dell, I could describe something to him and he could put it on paper without me being overly descriptive. And he's creating what I saw. And that's why I love working with him.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you. And one of these days we got to get you back to Florida.
I know. It's been a long time, huh?
It's been too long.
All right, and we just put if you are watching, we just put the link to the Fund My Comic in chat. So please go visit, get these wonderful books, because they are, as you can see, really, really good, really, really fun, really, really colorful. Love them. All right, what else? What else should we know about Teen Beetle, the creation of it? What do you have to say to folks like me? I mean, I love looking at Teen Beetle, right? Because I'm inspired to create too as a writer. And I think that the way you laid everything out, beautiful. So what advice do you have for folks like me, John, or for colorists or for artists? What advice do you have as far as creating your own book, getting your story out there, and sticking with it?
Hey, Dell, why don't you lead off?
I didn't hear it. What's the question?
I was just asking, what advice do you have for young? I mean, obviously, you guys, you were in the industry when it was very different than now, right? But now, you have young folk coming up who want to create stories, want to express them in the form of comic books now, whether they're drawing, whether they're writing, whether they're coloring, whether they're lettering. What advice do you have for those folks? Go ahead, Bill.
The main thing is practice. You practice every day, and practice perfect. Practice makes perfect. And if you're doing comic books where you have to draw human anatomy, you should buy books and read books. That's what we did a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
That is online now too. That you can find a lot of what we used to have to go to the library for or a bookstore to purchase. You can now go online, Google it, and you can find all sorts of things.
I know. It's all over the internet. The books like Andrew Loomis' Fun with a Pencil, drawing the head in hands, and figure drawings for all its worth. It's all there. It's the anatomy, design, and whatever you need for doing drawings.
So practice.
Keep on practicing. I'm still practicing right now.
And then one more follow-on question to that. So, if you're young like me, you can get to the. I'm not young. I shouldn't say me. If you're young, right, and you've practiced a lot, at what point should you dip your toe into actually putting something out there? I know that for a lot of people who are getting into it now, there's that hard part of, when can I transition from just practicing to, hey, I'm going to put something out there? What would you advise?
Well, I mean, I think kind of going on what Dell said, going along with the practicing, I mean, I think you set your own timelines. I have people come up to me all the time at shows, particularly younger people, asking how to get into comics. And what I typically tell them is just get into it. The only thing holding you back is yourself. With on-demand printing, with places like Kablam, there is really no excuse for not putting a comic out there. I mean, I remember when my daughter was probably 6 years old, she used to make her own little comic books of her little characters doing modeling clothing shows. I mean, just do it. I mean, I think I had a young girl come up to me at the show in Daytona Beach, and she said the same thing. And I said, but you can, of the 100 people that might come up to me and say they want to do a comic, only one of them actually hands me a book.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, again, it just goes back to you're the only person that can hold yourself back. If you want to do it, write it. If you can't draw it, hire an artist. If you can draw it. People spend too much time sitting around talking about what they'd like to do rather than just doing it. I mean, here I am, my day job, I'm an attorney. Okay. So in 2014, I wanted to create a comic. Within 6 months, I had my first comic. I mean, it's just a matter of putting the effort in, setting your mind to it, and just doing it.
I think. Do you think people get paralyzed with the thought of, is it good? Right. And should that just be, get that out of your head. It's going to be bad. So just put it out anyway and get the rep. Yeah.
Absolutely. But isn't that the case in any job? I mean, I think in any job, a lot of people hold themselves back out of fear about what other people might think or whether it's good enough. I mean, that's why I say it just goes back to you're your own worst critic. So, I mean, I think you just got to, I know I keep saying it like Nike says, just do it, I mean, don't talk about it.
If you think you're good, just ask your mom.
With that in mind, also, you should keep in mind that.
That's your best fan.
With that in mind, you also should be willing to accept feedback on your work to help improve yourself. I see plenty of people online sharing their work and just the slightest bit of, maybe draw this differently, or do fix your anatomy. They'll get all defensive and start, very nasty replies basically.
Well, I got a lot of questions from amateur artists. They always say, "What kind of pencil do you use? What kind of brush do you use?" Well, I told them, just draw. Damn it.
Yeah, a sharp one.
A sharp one.
Yeah, whatever works for you. I tell people a stick. Just sharpen a stick and dip it in some ink. Anything. Just anything to put ink on the page or graphite on the page.
Yeah, self-doubt is your biggest enemy.
Yep.
So, John, what do you have to say to Mr. Gibb here? He says that you've told him many times not to do it.
Oh, God. He knows that's not true. He knows that's not true.
No,
I'm glad Travis checked in. Travis is another very talented creator. I think I met Travis before he ever did his first comic at a comic store in the Melbourne area, I think, but he's done very well for himself. In fact, I've contributed a couple of stories to some of his anthologies over the past couple of years too.
Very nice.
So I have a question for you guys. When you guys were creating this new look and feel for Teen Beetle here, how many iterations did you guys go through, and do you have any rough sketches or anything that you can show us?
I do. I sent one. I don't know. Is Roland on or no?
No, he stepped off.
Okay. The actual original design of Teen Beetle was done by Stephen Butler. And what had happened was I was having him just do a pinup for me of Rochelle, just on something on the side I was going to hang in my room. And I said, hey, I've got this idea for a new character. And I kind of threw some ideas out to him. And I sent it to Roland yesterday. And I said, this is the actual first rendition of Teen Beetle. And then that's the one that I sent to Dell to kind of work off of. So I don't know how many renditions Dell played with on that, but it's fairly close to Steven's original design.
Well, I have to practice this a lot to make it perfect.
And I don't know. I don't use these things too much. I was going to say, I don't think I can add any kind of art on them. I'm on my phone, so I don't think I can do that.
So Dell, how many different iterations did you do?
Just one.
Just one. You just did one.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. It works.
And how many variations did you do on Dr. Mantis?
I think just one.
Yeah, he just did. At least the first one he sent me, I loved it.
Yeah, send it to him, and he approved it.
Yeah, I think the only thing we did was we played around with the colors a little bit on Dr. Mantis, but I love the first look he sent me on Mantis.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, very old-fashioned looking. Yeah, very silver, early Bronze Age look. Definitely.
Yeah, speaking of Roland, he chimed in. Yes, more Rochelle. Yeah, ask John more about Rochelle. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
about more.
John, you said that you took Teen Beetle because Beetle was in public domain.
The original Beetle, yeah.
Yeah, the original Beetle's in public domain from oh god, I can't remember the name of the company.
AC Comics, was it? I
No.
can't remember. That wasn't
No,
No,
was it?
Charlton.
Yeah.
Charlton. It came from Charlton.
Charlton Comics. Yeah, Charlton
Yep.
Comics.
Is there any other public domain characters that you foresee either doing their own story or incorporating them into?
That's possible. There's actually a character I created. I don't know if any of you are aware of the Exciting Comics series from Antarctic Press.
Mm-mm.
Y'all heard of that one?
Yep.
Okay, so
Yep.
probably about 3 years ago, Ben Dunn set up a series of anthologies type comics. I think one is Exciting Comics, one's Planet Comics, Horror Comics, Jungle Comics. I think that's the group of them. And he came to a few of us and asked us to grab some old public domain characters, recreate them, and give them some and bring them back for this Exciting Comics debut. And me, along with about 2 or 3 other guys, created a character called Blackjack that was based off an original Blackjack, which was a guy that would basically his power was he'd throw cards at you, which is kind of a neat little deal. But we wanted to modernize it, so we brought back Blackjack as that guy's granddaughter, and it was kind of a sleeker, sexier type version, which kind of fit with the Antarctic titles. And she did have some powers, like she could throw some laser created cards at you and things like that. So I do still own the rights to that character. So there's a possibility that I could always bring Blackjack.
Is this Blackjack right here?
That's a no, yeah, up in the upper left corner.
This
Exciting Comics.
Yeah, right there. That's Blackjack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and they had she had a nice about 3-issue run with Antarctic before I kind of segued away from Antarctic and haven't been doing as much with them, just so I could concentrate more on the wrestling stuff and on Teen Beetle. But and there's always a possibility I could bring her in. I think it'd be fun. She's a fun character. Again, it kind of goes back towards because I didn't do any of this. I did base Rochelle physically on my daughter, and and kind of surprised her with it when she got the first issue. She said, "Hey, Dad, that's me." And I said, "Well, you're kind of, it's not part cockroach."
Out of curiosity, because you used Beetle that's from public domain, but is Teen Beetle technically something that you own then?
I do own Teen Beetle, yeah. Because Teen Beetle's, I mean, I use the concept of vitamin 2X, I guess is probably the better way of saying it, from public domain. But Teen Beetle has never existed before this creation.
Right. Okay. Right. So that is something that is yours. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that people don't sit there and go, "Hey, okay, this is a public domain character, and I can run away with your character."
No, the only thing public domain that probably carries through in the book is the whole idea of vitamin 2X.
Mm-hmm. And that he comes from the original Beetle.
Yeah, exactly. And he doesn't really. I mean, he comes from the original sidekick of the original Beetle.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they just happened to come across that old formula and put it back together. Hey, if you find vitamin 2X, you could be the next middle-aged Beetle.
Middle-aged
Well, I beat you.
I would take it. I would take it. That's so funny. All right. Well, I just want to make sure before folks go. So we already said, hey, it's a fun book, fun story, really good read. So if you're looking for that, please go out, Fund My Comic. Link is in the chat, just in case. Go out, give it a try, get all the issues 1 through 3. Really good story. You won't even. The story is so good that you won't even really realize that it's taking your time to read it. It's really quick reads that are really, really good. So go out and get it. A lot of hard work went into it. A lot of thought went into it. It's fun, right? Is there anything else you want folks to know? I know you said it's fun, good story. Dell, Jeremy, anything else you want folks to know about the book, campaign, art?
Well, what can I say? We just buy it.
Get it because it's good. Say get it because it's good. That's all you need to know.
Well, it may be so good that it's over before you know it, but please take your time to actually admire the artwork as you're reading.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, both Dell and Jeremy have done a fantastic job with the art and the colors. And I think, I appreciate everyone saying it's a great story, but the story wouldn't be there if it weren't for the art, because those guys have really done a fantastic job. I couldn't ask for a better team on putting this book together, because both of them have met my image of what I pictured this book becoming, both with the art and with those popping colors. I mean, it's just, it really is. They've done a great, fantastic job. And if people buy the book and they like it, that's what it gives us incentive to bring them back and bring them back and bring them back more.
That's right.
That's the idea.
Well, if it's in the endorsement, my boys read the cover off of it, so. So yeah, so they enjoyed it. My boys are 5, turning 6 and 8. So
okay, nice.
Yeah, so this is perfect for that kind of bracket. Yeah, and if you're just in for a fun romp because you miss comics from the old times, this is perfect for that as well.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right. Any other thoughts? What are some closing thoughts? We're kind of nearing the time, so what kind of closing thoughts do we have? Let's do this. Let's go. Hey, Jeremy, what are your closing thoughts? And then we can go Dale, and then we can go John, and then team closing thoughts.
Is that starting?
This is good.
Yep, you're up, Jeremy.
Okay. Well, I mean, hopefully you all enjoy it, and hopefully, John does some more issues. Got a lot of fun, coloring it, and Dell still draws, so I'm looking forward to that too, hopefully.
All right, Dell, closing thoughts. Teen Beetle.
Teen Beetle. Well, I'd like to. I love working on it, and I put all my, my inspiration on drawing it, and I hope people would like it.
I'm sure they will. All right, John, let's close it out with you. What are your closing thoughts? Teen Beetle.
Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed working on it. I always do. I mean, there's nothing that really relaxes me more than sitting down and writing and telling stories that come to me. I've loved this story. I love putting it together. I hope that people pick it up and love it as much as I do. I think they will. I also think they're going to love the art. I think both these guys have done a great job. We work really well together. I think the Silverline team has done a fantastic job of supporting us on it. And if you like Silverline comics, I think Teen Beetle fits right in there with it. They're a great collection of books, and I encourage people, pick up Teen Beetle, give it a chance if you haven't yet. And when you go in the campaign, hey, you can even pick up some of the other titles that some of the other creators with Silverline have done as well. So there's some great options for great, just honest to goodness, good reading. It's not, like I said before, not political, not over sexy, not any of that stuff. It's just good, fun stories. And I think people should give it all a shot.
Awesome. All right, team. Martin, Barb, Rob. Closing thoughts.
I'll start.
Yes.
I do a lot of shows, and when people ask me, is Divinity appropriate for my kid? And I'm like, well, it depends on if your kid watches primetime TV or not. It's got blood. It's got blood that is, equivalent. I wouldn't have any hesitation at all to say Teen Beetle. Yeah, absolutely. You can as soon as your kid can read, this is something that they would be able to read without any problem. I wouldn't have any hesitation in saying this is all ages, including below primetime TV.
Well said.
Yeah. Thank you, Barb. And to kind of, I don't mean to jump back in, but to kind of build on what Barb said, just reminded me, I just had my 35th high school reunion. And there was a gal in my class who came up to me and she thanked me because, and it wasn't Teen Beetle because we haven't got the whole series out yet, but she thanked me because probably about 10 years ago or 9 years ago, she got the series of Rochelle. She bought it for her class. And it was, she was teaching elementary school, and she actually used the book to help teach her children how to read in her class. And to me, that was a fantastic compliment because it shows that she thought enough of the story that it was appropriate for children. It gave good, wholesome stories to help them learn how to read and teach them life lessons as well. So I think you can get the same thing, hopefully, out of this book too.
Mm-hmm.
Good story.
That's really good. All right, Rob, what do you got? Closing thoughts.
All right. If I've heard many people complain, what's wrong with modern comics? They're not fun anymore. That's what this book is fun. This is what to my mind, this is what comics should be. Fun. This is a fun read. It's for all ages. It's well worth picking up. Absolutely.
All right, Barb, what about you?
Barb already went.
Oh, Martin.
Make her go
again.
I know. You got to go again. No, Martin.
Yeah,
Martin.
yeah. Well, I think I said my piece. My boys read the cover off the book. So like, if that's any indicator, let's see here. There,
Yeah.
as you can see, cover's gone,
Cover
obliterated.
is gone.
I don't know where it is. It's somewhere on the floor. But they read it and read it and read it. So yeah, this is a good read for kids. And then if you're a mom or dad and you're kind of bored,
Yeah, you can read it with your kids. Yeah.
You can read it with your kids. And then while you're at it, Dad, you buy that one, and then you buy the great Ultimate Dad comic while you're.
You got it in this week.
I
too.
had to slip it in. It's the best dad comic ever.
Every week. He
So,
does that week. Every week he does that.
Every week.
So yeah,
Well, I
no,
guess-
but Teen Beetle is great. So it's a fun romp. Absolutely get it.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of fun.
I guess echoing a lot of what is said. Fun comic again. I just want to personally thank you for giving advice to all those who are up and coming. Just do it. Just get out there. Just do it. Right. You can see that this is a good time for you to figure out how to get your product out there. You don't have to work for Marvel, DC, not that is bad in any way, but you can get your own story out there. And this is kind of inspiration to do that. So thank you very much. Dell, Jeremy, John, it was a pleasure having you on your show. Please get Teen Beetle. I'm going to say it again for the folks out there listening, for the folks who are in chat, get Teen Beetle. And then Rochelle, go back, read Rochelle too in the Christmas issue because she's in there. And if you can find the Rochelle comics, get those too because good story. There is a thing that we like to say here at Silverline. And all our guests.
Sorry.
Martin,
I'm sorry. I'm trying to find where's everybody's screen. No.
There we go.
So we like to say, make mine Silverline, and hopefully you can join us in saying that. All right?
Make
mine
Silverline.
Hey, I'm G-Rod. Make mine Silverline. You heard me.